Hey guys, how's everyone doing today? Gonna read some more Bible. I missed yesterday because I was working, but that's okay. Sometimes you gotta do stuff other than be on here, but hope everybody's having a great day. Having a good day. Yeah, I'm gonna read some more Leviticus and learn about more of the priests and stuff like that. So that's exciting. Yeah. I'm trying to remember what we read before. I guess it was about Aaron and the priests and like their duties and how. Oh yeah, we were talking about a lot of the like offerings and stuff they had to do. And then like Moses put blood on the altar and put blood on them and to like consecrate them for the actual tabernacle that they were gonna do their duties in, and they have to like stay in there for like 7 days. I remember that part. So it's been a whole day, but I remember some of it. So yeah. So today we're going to read Leviticus 10 and 11. Yeah, I read the NIV version if you want to read along with me. And we'll just get started. And you guys can comment, or, if you have any questions or anything, you can say it in the chat. I really like when people bring things up because, there's things when I read, I don't always see things when I look at them. And some other people might see things that I don't. And having those different perspectives, I think, really helps, look at the bigger picture that a lot of people might not actually see or hear. And just people's different opinions, too. I think it's a good thing to have, even if everyone on here is an atheist or a theist or whatever. You don't have to have the same opinion as another atheist when it comes to the Bible. And you can have different opinions on what it says. But I guess you could have different opinions on what it says when you're a Christian, too. So, everybody has their own way of looking at things. So that can definitely change perspectives. And yeah, just having dialogue. I think that's an important thing when it comes to reading this, is having that dialogue and having that ability to talk to other people in hopefully a safe space. I want this to be a safe space where people can talk, but I know the internet is a place that a lot of people like to let their opinions be known, even if it's not in a kind way. So I'm really hoping that when people are on here, they can be kind and they can, have those discussions and not cause trouble. All right, so we're going to do Leviticus 10. The death of Nadab and Abihu. Aaron's sons, Nadab and Abihu, took their censers, put fire on them, and added incense. And they offered unauthorized fire before the Lord, contrary to his command. So fire came out from the presence of the Lord and consumed them, and they died before the Lord. Moses then said to Aaron, "This is what the Lord spoke of when he said, 'Among those who approach me, I will be proved holy, and in the sight of all the people I will be honored.'" Aaron remained silent. Moses summoned Mishael and Elzaphan, sons of Aaron's uncle Uziel, and said to them, "Come here, carry your cousins outside the camp, away from the sanctuary, so that they can come and carry." So they came and carried them, still in their tunics, outside the camp as Moses ordered. That's really weird, because it says they were like burned up, but then it says come take them outside. So you have to wonder, I guess they weren't completely burned up. But then it says, like, he consumed them, which makes you think that they completely burned up. So that's, I guess they just caught on fire and died. Then Moses said to Aaron and his sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, do not let your hair become unkempt, and do not tear your clothes, or you will die, and the Lord will be angry with the whole community. But your relatives, all the house of Israel, may mourn, for those the Lord has destroyed by fire. Do not leave the entrance of the tent of meeting, or you will die, because the Lord's anointing oil is on you. So they did as Moses said. Then the Lord said to Aaron, you and your sons are not to drink wine or other fermented drinks whenever you go to the tent of meeting, or you will die. This is a lasting ordinance for the generations to come, so that you can distinguish between the holy and the common, between the unclean and the clean, and so you can teach the Israelites all the decrees that the Lord has given through Moses. Moses said to Aaron and his remaining sons, Eleazar and Ithamar, take the grain offering left over from the food offerings prepared without yeast, and present it to the Lord. Eat it beside the altar, for it is most holy. Eat it in the sanctuary area, because it is your share and your son's share of the food offering, presented to the Lord for what? So I have been commanded. But you and your sons and your daughters may eat the breast that was waved and the thigh that was presented. Oh, his daughters can eat it now too. They actually included the girls this time. Eat them in a ceremonially clean place. They have been given to you and your children as your share of the Israelites' fellowship offering. The thigh that was presented and the breast that was waved must be brought with the fat portions of the food offerings, to be waved before the Lord as a wave offering. This will be a perpetual share for you and your children, as the Lord commanded. When Moses inquired about the goat of the sin offering, and found that it had been burned up, he was angry with Eleazar and Ithamar, Aaron's remaining sons, and asks, why did you eat the sin offering in the sanctuary area? It is most holy. It was given to you to take away the guilt of the community by making atonement for them before the Lord. Since its blood was not taken into the holy place, you should have eaten the goat in the sanctuary area. That's really hard to say together. As I commanded. Aaron replied to Moses, today they sacrifice their sin offering and their burnt offering before the Lord. But such things as this have happened to me. Would the Lord have been pleased if I had eaten the sin offering today? When Moses heard this, he was satisfied. It is weird. I think they even were confused about some of the rules, because it seems like they didn't quite understand everything. I feel like if I were in this community at that time, I would be so confused, because it seems like there's so many different rules and regulations that seem pointless to me. But I mean, even if I were superstitious, I feel like a lot of these things are, I don't know, just too much, I think. But I guess I look at our laws and stuff, and I mean, even today when I look at the legal system, I know there's a ton of laws and stuff I know nothing about, and that's why we have lawyers and judges and stuff, because we might not know all the laws and stuff, but we have people that are going to be on our side to help us learn that law. But it's hard to think about it that way, because I feel like the laws in this time period were very much believe or die. There was no middle ground when it came to obeying the laws. And it didn't give people much of a life, because you always had to just do what they said. I guess it's kind of that way in the Middle Ages too, or the Dark Ages. It's like, do what the church says, obey what the church says, pay what the church says, or die. So I guess they're similar in that fashion, that, you know, you have to dedicate your whole life to this entity or you won't have a life. Leviticus 11. Clean and unclean food. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, "Say to the Israelites, of all the animals that live on the land, these are the ones you may eat. You may eat any animal that has a divided hoof and that chews the cud. There are some that only chew the cud or only have a divided hoof, but you must not eat them. The camel, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is ceremonially unclean for you. The hyrax, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is unclean for you. The rabbit, though it chews the cud, does not have a divided hoof. It is unclean for you. And the pig, though it has a divided hoof, does not chew the cud. It is unclean for you. You must not eat their meat or touch their carcasses. They are unclean for you." That's interesting. I didn't realize they couldn't eat camel and rabbit. I always just heard they couldn't eat pig. Like, I guess I never really realized that there were more than other animals that they decided they weren't going to eat as well. Of all the creatures living in the water of the sea and the streams, you may not eat any that have fins and scales. But that's like every fish. But all the creatures in the seas and streams that do not have fins and scales, whether among all the swarming things or among all the living creatures in the water, you are to regard as unclean. Since you are to regard them as unclean, you must not eat their meat. You must regard their carcasses as unclean. Anything living in the water that does not have fins and scales is to be regarded as unclean by you. These are the birds that you are to regard as unclean and not eat, because they are unclean: the eagle, the vulture, the black vulture, the red kite, any kind of black kite, any kind of raven, the horned owl, the screech owl, the gull, any kind of hawk, the little owl, the cormorant. I don't know what that is. I'm going to have to look up that bird because I have no idea what that is. The great owl, the white owl, the desert owl. There's a lot of owls where they live, apparently. The osprey, the stork, any kind of heron, the hoopoe, and the bat. Yes, because we all know bats are birds, right? I mean, that's what the Bible says. All flying insects that walk on 4 legs are to be regarded as unclean by you. There are, however, some flying insects that walk on all 4s that you may eat. Those that have jointed legs for hopping on the ground. Of those you may eat any kind of locust, katydid, cricket, or grasshopper. But all other flying insects that have 4 legs you are to regard as unclean. You will make yourselves unclean by these. Whoever touches their carcasses will be unclean till evening. Whoever picks up one of the carcasses must wash their clothes, and they will be unclean until evening. Every animal that does not have a divided hoof, or that does not chew the cud, is unclean for you. Whoever touches the carcass of any of these will be unclean. All of these animals that walk on all 4s, those that walk on their paws, are unclean for you. Whoever touches the carcasses will be unclean till evening. Anyone who picks up the carcasses must wash their clothes, and they will be unclean until evening. These animals are unclean for you. Of the animals that move about on the ground, these are unclean for you: the weasel, the rat, any kind of great lizard, the gecko, the monitor lizard, the wall lizard, the skink, and the chameleon. Of all those that move along the ground, these are unclean for you. Whoever touches them when they are dead will be unclean till evening. When one of them dies and falls on something, that article, whatever its use, will be unclean, whether it is made of wood, cloth, hide, or sackcloth. Put it in water, it will be unclean till evening, and then it will be clean. If one of them falls into a clay pot, everything in it will be unclean. You must break the pot. Any food you're allowed to eat that has come into contact with water from any such pot is unclean, and any liquid that is drunk from such pot is unclean. Anything that one of the carcasses falls on becomes unclean. An oven or cooking pot must be broken up. They are unclean, and you are to regard them as unclean. A spring, however, or a cistern for collecting water remains clean, but anyone who touches one of the carcasses is unclean. If a carcass falls on any seeds that are to be planted, they remain clean. But if the water has been put on the seed and a carcass falls on it, it's unclean to you. If an animal that you are allowed to eat dies, anyone who touches its carcass will be unclean till evening. Anyone who eats some of its carcass must wash their clothes, and they will be unclean until evening. Every creature that moves along the ground is to be regarded as unclean. It is not to be eaten. You are not to eat any creature that moves about on the ground, whether it moves on its belly or walks on all fours, or on many feet. It is unclean. Do not defile yourselves by any of these creatures. Do not make yourselves unclean by means of them, or be made unclean by them. I am the Lord your God. Consecrate yourselves and be holy, because I am holy. Do not make yourselves unclean by any creature that moves about on the ground. I am the Lord who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. Therefore, be holy, because I am holy. These are the regulations concerning animals, birds, every living thing that moves in the water, and every creature that moves on the ground. You must distinguish between the clean and unclean, between living creatures that may be eaten and those that may not be eaten. There's all those fun rules about certain creatures you can eat and certain creatures you can't eat. It's very interesting to hear those kind of things. And how you have to wonder how they came up with the idea, like, you know, it's okay to eat a cow, but it's not okay to eat a bat. Like, it's just, I have to wonder who thought up these things and who really looked into it and went, oh yeah, we should eat this and not that. And I honestly had no idea that they had such, like, strict dietary rules, because I always just, like, growing up, I was always told, like, they didn't eat pig, but I didn't realize there were other animals that they just completely didn't eat, like a rabbit. They don't eat rabbits, because apparently rabbits chew the cud, and apparently bats are birds, according to the Bible. So, yeah, that's very, I don't know, it's confusing and interesting at the same time. I feel like if I lived in that time period, I would be so confused, because I don't know how you would know the difference between clean and unclean. I mean, it says it right there, but at the same time, it's like, this is like a time period when people didn't write things down as much and stuff, so I guess it would just be whatever people tell you. So I guess if the priests were like, oh, you can't eat a rabbit, then you just don't eat a rabbit. Like, but I find that interesting, and that's one of those things you look at too in the Bible, where you can see that they, you know, didn't understand certain things, because blah 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 blah. I am tripping over my words today. How they didn't understand, like, certain things about even animals, because they claim that a bat is a bird, and they claim that rabbits chew the cud, and we know that that's not true. So you have to wonder if that was just from observation and they thought that, or if, I don't know. I guess they didn't really have science back then, So I guess they just put them into categories that made the most sense to them. But that's one of those ones that a lot of, like, I know non-theists will, like, hook onto, is the fact that, we know these things don't do that, so, that's proof that the Bible isn't infallible. But, I mean, there's some major issues with just the beginning of, even in Genesis, just having, a basic knowledge of science and knowing that how the world was created versus how it actually came into being. Like, and I guess that's kind of, I don't know, I find it kind of sad that a lot of Christians don't look into that kind of stuff and look into the science, because I think it's important, and I think it's important to know what you believe and why you believe it. And when you're spending so much time trying to prove something that there's not evidence for, but then you spend, like, I don't know how many, like, Christian apologists spend so much time trying to, like, debunk scientific theories that we know are true because we have evidence to back them up. And it's like, at what point do you just give up? Like, you have to ask yourself that question, is just, at what point do you just say, you know what, they have enough evidence to back up what they say is true, and I can throw darts at a wall all day, but if there's not a bullseye to hit, I'm never gonna hit it, because it's not there. And I feel like that's what a lot of the apologists do, is, like, they'll just throw darts that Christians will be okay with, and as long as the darts are close enough to what they think the bullseye is, they'll buy it. But it's like I don't want to say it's invisible. What is it doing? Hello. Sorry. Why is it doing that? Alright, technical difficulties. I'm gonna unplug it. Hold on. Now it's clicking on me. I don't know why my mic does that. It's making noise. Okay. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I can hear it in my mic or my headphones, and it's driving me crazy. Okay, I think it's done now. What was I saying? Oh, that there's no actual bullseye there. But the people who are in the church don't see that. They think the bullseye is there. And apologists are hitting the target when they're not. So, I don't know. It's a frustrating thing. It's really hard to just... What is happening, man? Clicky clicks. I don't know what's going on with my mic right now. Not good. Okay. Yeah. And it's sad to me because they don't get, Christians don't get they don't get to deep dive into that, side of science and stuff. I know when I was a Christian, I was always told, like, not to look into evolution, not look into anything that was against the Bible, because the Bible was the only truth, and that was the only way that I was going to know God, and that Satan was going to use all these things to attack me and make me think that the Bible isn't true and that it doesn't line up with reality. But over time, when I actually started looking into it and digging deeper into what the Bible actually says versus what science says, it made more sense to me science made more sense to me than the Bible did. And it just gave me a different perspective, but it also gave me the freedom to look into other things. Because in the church, they try so hard to hinder you from learning science and learning basically anything that's gonna make the Bible irrelevant. So you're kind of stuck where you have to just learn what they teach you. And I think that's a big part of how I was raised, because my parents, like, they had me in church every Wednesday and every Sunday. And, we didn't read books about certain scientific things. And I went to a private school my whole life. So I wasn't allowed to look deeper into those discoveries and things that were happening that proved that these things were true. I was completely sheltered from all of that. And because of that sheltering, I think it really hindered me from, reaching my full potential, because, I could have done other things with my life if I had known, like, basic science as opposed to creationist science, where it's like, oh, God just made everything magically. So, but it's good now too, because I can look back and go, you know what? I didn't know that stuff, and I taught myself like these things, and I read books, and I made sure that what I was reading lined up with the evidence and lined up with reality. And it has changed my perspective, but it's also made me a very different person, and a person who's more open-minded, I think, to just different views and different even cultures and stuff. Because when you grow up in that Christian culture, it's everything is about church and God. Like, that's it. And you don't have that outside culture where you can, see the diversity and see how different people live and how different people worship and how different people, see the world. And it's given me a lot more to think about. And I think that's a big thing too, is it has sparked curiosity in me that wasn't there before, because I wasn't allowed to have curiosity. I wasn't allowed to go out and find truth on my own and find knowledge of my own. I had to stick to this one book that is 100% God's word, and anything out there that's against it is just Satan trying to trick people. But now I know it's all just, it's more of a tactic for the church to keep people in the church, because if they're told that your whole life there's some evil force out there that's gonna take your soul because you question things, like, that fear is gonna keep you in it. And that is hard. I get that. I had a very bad fear of hell for a while, and the best thing for me, like I say, knowledge is power, and I really think that's true, because once I knew exactly what the Bible said about hell and what other religions said about it and how hell was actually formed and how people view hell now as opposed to back when it was created, it just gave me such a different outlook on what, like, how hell developed over time, and how it's just like any other story where, you start with the premises and then over time it slowly morphs into something else. And, when you look into those things, you can see that over time. You can see that this thing started out one way and it slowly morphed into something else through different people's interpretations. And because I saw that, and because I knew how that all, like, affected it and affected me, I could let go of that fear, because to me it was no longer a real place. It was no longer something I had to fear. It was a story that was made and developed and evolved over time, just like any story. And I don't know, it gave me more hope to know that, you know, as people, we're always trying to find answers for things, and we're not always going to have the answer for everything because we're human, and that's just, you know, sometimes we can't get all the answers to life's biggest questions, but at the end of the day, being free just from that idea that you're gonna end up somewhere for eternity when you die, just having the freedom to go, you know what, this is the only life I think I have, and it's the only life I can prove that I have, so I want to live it my way. And I don't want to give my life to something that can't be proven. So, yeah. That's my spiel for today. Hope everybody's doing well. Thanks for joining me for another Bible reading. It's been fun. I think it'll be funner when we get into the story again, though. I'm very much more of the story person where, you know, you can see the characters over time and see how they develop and see how they kind of go along with, well, I guess it would be, in the Old Testament, it's more of, you know, what the Jews believed. But I think looking at it and reading through it as an atheist, like, I'm going to be able to see the differences between, like, how the Jews view it and how the Christians view it and how the atheists view it. So I think that'll be good. And I look forward to just looking at those differences and just seeing how my perspective has changed and how, you know, it's not a bad thing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to be curious. It's a good thing to, you know, read through these things and know what they actually say and not just hear them in church. Because I feel like in church it was very much people telling you what the verses mean versus actually, you know, you going out and looking at them and go, is this what this verse actually says? Or is it being twisted in a way to make it seem like it's saying something else because someone interpreted it that way, you know? So I think that's pretty much how I think right now. But anyways, if you guys have a favorite Bible story, you can write in the comments below what your favorite Bible story is, and if you have a favorite spooky Bible story, tell me what it is, because I'm really enjoying doing the spooky Bible stories, and I think they're good. I finished one yesterday. I'm so excited. I finished one of my animations yesterday, so if you haven't gone over to my YouTube yet, I highly suggest you do, and you go see my Revelation 7 Seals. I think I just named it Revelation Seals, or The Seals. Yeah, it's another one of those spooky ones. It's from Revelation, so, it's, like they said, somebody wrote on there, I can't remember who it was, wrote on my comments that it was trippy, and I agreed with them, because I'm like, it sounds like someone's tripping on mushrooms or something, because it's very apocalyptic, and I don't know, it's interesting. And I like putting those things into, like, a story format where people can actually see them and, like, view what's actually happening, because when they tell you that in, like, church, like, you hear it, but the visualization of it, I think, is so much different when you can actually see, like, what this is saying is happening. So that was a big part of why I wanted to do the 7 Seals, because just looking at that and seeing how it all played out and how it's so different when you can picture it versus when you just listen to it. And I don't know, it just makes things seem even more crazy. Um, and just like researching some of that stuff. Like I've been I looked into a lot of those things and how it just describes heaven, and how honestly, like, the description of heaven in Revelations to me sounds like a horror movie. Like, it is scary. Um, and they talk about these angels that have eyes all over their bodies and their wings, and they have heads of like lions and people and birds, and it sounds like a scary movie to me, honestly. Like, it's not someplace I would want to spend eternity. And just the creepy things that come out of it, and I have to wonder what people were on when they wrote these things down, or if there was, I don't know, something else happening within those people's brains, or I don't know. It's definitely interesting, and it's definitely trippy, and I think in the future I want to do more of those spooky things. So if you have a favorite spooky story in the Bible, write it down in the comments. Or if you have a favorite Bible story and, you maybe want to see it animated, you can put it down in the link or down in the comments. I really enjoy making those videos, and I love making the animations that go along with them, and especially the absurd ones, because I think looking at them from our perspective and then looking at them from the perspective that the Bible is actually saying they're from can change the way you look at the Bible. And I love doing the crazy, absurd Bible stories that you're just like, there's no way this happened in real life. And if it did, then there's something I'm missing, because it makes no sense. So yeah, write those below. If you're on Twitch, you can find me on my YouTube channel. I did just post that new video, Overprotected Atheist. If you're on YouTube and you have a Twitch, you can come follow me. My follower goal this month, we only got, like 10 days left in this month. I really wanted to get to my goal of 50 followers. If you really would like to go to Twitch and follow me, that'd be great. The more followers, the better for me, because I want to be able to talk to more people and have more people on here to talk about the Bible. And I know I'm not as entertaining as some people, but I really enjoy doing this, and I want to continue to do this if I can. So you can support me by going over to my Twitch and following me. Yeah, I have a Facebook, Overprotected Atheist. You can follow me on Twitter at OP_atheist. I have an Instagram, Overprotected Atheist. Or you can go to my website, and it has all of my stuff on there. It's overprotectedatheist.com. And yeah, thank you everyone who's come and watched these videos. Your support means the world to me. And this little time that I have online every day really means a lot to me, because this is pretty much the only adult interaction I'm getting right now. So, if you want to comment or say something about the reading below, go right ahead. I really like discussing these things with people, and I hope you guys would be open to, discussing more, even if you're not here for the live stream. It really, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I really enjoy doing that, and I think doing that with other people who might think similar thoughts, but might not. I don't know. I'm saying I don't know a lot. But yeah, thank you all for your support. I really love doing this, and I want to continue to do it. And yeah, so your support means the world to me. On that note, I think I'm gonna go. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And I'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and we'll see how this goes, and if I can keep doing it. we'll see. I put in a job application yesterday for another job. And if I get that job, then I won't be able to do this at 1 o'clock anymore, but we'll see. But I hope everyone has an amazing day, and we'll stick to our 1 o'clock until things change. So, yeah. Thank you all. Bye.